Teach me how to.
Can you teach me how to press the record?
It's so dark.
Oh yeah.
It's just so dark where you guys are standing. All right, class, let's give it a go. Sorry again. Oh, you got, wait, it's way too dark.
Should I go and get mine? And the scooter.
Thomas, knock it off.
What about, are your arms going to get tired?
Oh, that'll work. Anybody sitting here?
Awesome. Right for us. No friends.
I mean, you got some 550 cord and duct tape.
My laptop doesn't have a camera on it, but that's all right. Let's go. We're gonna be late.
Hello everyone. We are Team Bean, and we use the balance beam to test balance. I'm Michael, and this is Eric. He's going to be doing the introduction.
We analyzed 4 children from the Early Childhood Learning Center, ranging from ages 3 to 5 years old, and we tested the possibility of improving their performance levels in static and dynamic balance by observing and interacting with them as they crossed the balance beam. We gave them visual, auditory, and visual distractions in order to determine their developmental and functional levels. And we also aided them with mnemonic devices and visual examples in order to potentially advance them to the next stage. This age group was ideal for our topic since the cerebellum, which is responsible for balance, timing, and coordination, develops around the age of 4. Also developing around this time is the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for reasoning and thinking, in which we observed the responses and reactions from the children to our mnemonic devices and corrections that we gave them. We also were able to see differences in the brain development and function levels before the vestibular system is intact by the age of 6. And by that time, a child has the ability to progress balance into a refined motor skill. This is what we did for initial.
So for initial, we immediately told them to just walk across the beam without any direction or instruction. Walking is a pretty general thing for people. Obviously, we all do it every day, so it's natural. So there wasn't a lot of explanation that went into that. Having them walk across the beam immediately. Once they did their initial walk across, then we kind of introduced them to mnemonic devices, airplane arms, and then we told them to look at their feet. So that allowed them better balance across the beam as they walked across. Our first subject was Jack. He was 3. He had really a hard time balancing on one foot, so when he picked up a foot to walk across the beam, he immediately would drop his foot, as you can see in the video, just to kind of keep that balance for him. As soon as we introduced airplane arms to him, he was able to maintain a more acceptable balance towards the end, completing the beam without falling. But he had a really hard time remembering those mnemonic devices, so as we had him continuously walk across the beam, we had to continuously remind him. We believe that this was due to his lack of development in the cerebral cortex. That's Jack. And then Judah, he kind of just took off across the beam without really needing any explanation. We believe that this was also due to him being more mature in regards to his development in his cerebral cortex and cerebellum. Once we kind of introduced the airplane arms to him, he was able to do it without any further reminder. So anytime we walked across, we would have to tell him, to Jack, make sure you do those airplane arms, look at your feet, things like that. So, and then Isabella, she was 5. She was really advanced in regards to walking across the beam. As you can see, we kind of added the comment there a little bit because she kind of was more progressed than the other 2. So in order to kind of advance that initial stage, we added the comment to see if she could walk over it. And then there you can see the airplane arm mnemonic device to kind of keep her balance on there.
I'm Nicole, and this is our elementary level. So we actually used 2 different markers for the elementary level. We had them do high knees as well as picking up and reaching for a cone at the side of the beam. We introduced a second mnemonic device. For the marching, it was walk like a soldier to keep their chest up and their knees high. For grabbing the cone, we did heel to toe to keep them in line. And it was mostly to test how they could transition their weight while remaining centered and be able to walk across the beam. So Jack, at 3 years old, he was our youngest subject. We have him walk across using high knees. In the video, you can see he has troubles lifting up both knees equally. He is a lot more comfortable on his left leg with his right knee higher. He has issues remaining balanced, and his coordination of moving both of the knees is expected at his age because his cerebellum isn't fully developed yet. That happens at the age of 4 years old. And then as we moved on, and he didn't make it to the elementary level, he's probably our main initial. Judah, at 4 years old, has a really easy time with it. Right away he remembers his arms out, his airplane arms without needing to remind him. And in this video, we don't have sound, but he's actually cued during it to walk like a soldier, and he picks it up and lifts up his chest a little bit. And he was successful at reaching the elementary level. And obviously his confidence is high, he has no fear of falling off. And then for our oldest subject, Isabella, at age 5. She's a lot more timid and focused. Actually, in this video, her eyes are closed. She's doing high knees with her eyes closed, that's why she falls off. But her center of balance remains over the beam, and she is, when reminded of airplane arms successfully, she can go all the way across, even with her eyes closed. And for the age differences, for the 4 and 5, it was expected that they would be able to do it with the high knees because their coordination and their balance, because their cerebellum is fully developed, whereas Jack, he is still in the developing process. And Isabella, the track between the cerebral cortex and the cerebellum has started to be myelinated.
So I did our mature analysis on the final day at the Learning Center. So we further assessed these kids' motor and cognitive skills by testing their selective attention. And I did this by showing these kids different colors on the flashcards, as well as asking them different questions as they're crossing the beam. And meanwhile, Eric was trying to distract the kids from their attention towards me. So adults process information 2 to 3 times faster than an average 5-year-old. This is because the kids, these children's brains aren't as myelinated yet. So we expected there to be at least a little delay naturally in these kids' responses to my questions or to the color of the flashcards I show them, but we look for longer responses in different kids. So at the stage, Judah and Isabella were only 2 to reach full maturity and pass the stage. They both show dynamic balance while these different challenges we put on. So this is so since Jack did not pass the elementary stage, we decided to show Rio at the stage because she would show a better level of maturity. But as you can see in the video, Rio was very challenged by this test. She was distracted by Eric. She failed to keep her balance while answering different questions, and just had a very hard time getting across the beam. Once she was reminded to keep walking, so she did show signs of multitasking, but not to a level where we could say she passed the maturity test. And now Judah. Judah did very well at this stage. Although he did pause for a second, once we reminded him to keep on going, he was able to focus his attention on me. He was able to answer all my questions, keep his dynamic balance, and flawlessly kept across the beam. Flawlessly walked across the beam. We were kind of surprised because Rio is also 4 years old, like Judah. So we thought there may have been gender differences, or that there might have been prior exposure of Judah to have done so successfully on this at this test, or there might have been he just might have been more developed for some reason than most kids of his age. And then lastly, we have Isabella, and she was the most successful at this challenge. When she was reminded to walk across the beam, she kept her balance the whole time, but kept her attention on me, answered all the questions very quickly. And yeah, this was not really surprising to me because since she is a 5-year-old, she has must have developed cerebellum and cerebral cortex, so she would have naturally the best balance and best reaction time to my questions. And that's it.
My name's Treya Ortiz, and there's a couple different things we focused on after doing the videos and reviewing them. The positive reinforcement we used throughout the whole time, high fives at the end of the beam as they got off, as they were in line. We also paid close attention to each child as they walked across the beam. We were giving them positive reinforcement, and as they were in line, we were talking to them and just keeping them focused and wanting to stay at the balance beam. We also, if they messed up, we just encouraged them to try again. We focused on encouragement. And then our reward system was kind of different because the first day we didn't have prizes, so it was extremely difficult, we noticed, to get the children to want to do the balance beam, especially once they noticed that everybody else had prizes, or a majority, I'm not sure if everybody did. It made it harder for them to want to come and do the balance beam. So that created difficulty. But then the second day, we did bring stickers, and we noticed a lot more kids wanted to participate. And we also created a game called Don't Touch the Lava. We created this game because we realized that the kids were going across the beam and often letting their foot touch the ground just because it was so close. The ground was so close that it wasn't scary to like fall off. And we wanted to narrow their focus, so we added in this game in hopes that it would keep them on the beam and off the ground. And then lastly, Michael touched on some of the differences between the males and the females with Rio and Judah in the mature stage, but some other differences that we saw were just like the initial way that they attempted the beam. The boys, the males attempted the beam almost as if they were like showing off. Like they really wanted to show us like how fast they could walk across the beam, all the different tricks they could do, and you could just see their confidence level with it. They were also in competition with each other, especially Judah. Whereas the females approached the beam a little differently. They were more quiet. They looked to us for reassurance that they were doing it right. But as soon as they got that reassurance, it made it easier for them to walk across the beam and show us that they could do it. So I guess we just saw difference in the confidence levels of the females and males. And that's it. Any questions?
I forgot the boy's name, but the youngest one,
Jack.
Sure.
does he fall into this male-female thing? Is he a typical male?
The way that he approached it, he had no fear and had the confidence level of it, but he was trying to comprehend everything going on at the same time. So he would try doing it himself and then try and listen to corrections, and then he actually used those corrections and did better and better every time.
You just have to remind it constantly of them.
Yeah, no, what I was getting at is this a learned male thing or is it a little more innate? But he seems to have those characteristics, he's just not developmentally ready for
Yeah.
those. Interesting. All right, great job. Any other questions?
I don't know if you guys know, but is the balance beam always at the ECC? It is?
Yeah, but they don't. It's not always outside. It's in a closet. So that's a good point. Do they practice?
Yeah.
Something we would have liked to change about that is that the beam was only like 4 feet long, so a child could literally be falling but finish the beam.
Yeah.
And we had one actually, his name was Caleb, and he'd just sprint across, and there was no chance to even like analyze what he was doing.
I think it's more like 6 feet. But your point is there.
It's short.
But the other thing that I thought about on the balance here is, you know, those retaining walls with the wood. You'd be tempted to walk on it. It's against the rules. So I don't know that they get any practice. But those are great questions.
Another thing is, like, since it was so short, we felt like if it would have been higher, then maybe their focus to not fall off would have been better, and they might have showed that they were initially scared to walk across it. If it would have just been maybe like the balance beams they use in gymnastics or something.
Did you see Judah bite it? You want them up higher? What are you thinking?
No, they
wouldn't
like,
see
Sprinted across it,
yeah,
so.
like they might walk across it more carefully.
So that was in sawdust of some kind?
It was like, yeah, like the
It's,
wood
wood
chips.
chips.
Wood chips?
So it was literally touching the wood chip.
Yeah. Is that where you did it every day?
Yeah,
Worked out well.
yeah,
Yeah.
just in case.
Anything else? All right, thank you. Next.